I've travelled across Manus to get some information on the current political situation in the gnome continent of Pink House. It seems that the main nations in this land are the 6 pond kingdoms, named as such for their shared layout, consisting of a series of connected towns that wraps around a large lake or pond, especially farming-based settlement that make use of the easy access to water, and at the centre of these ponds is usually an island. This island usually acts as the capital city, with a walled city separated by ascending layers, with the royal residence at the centre. These royal families live at the highest points in these cities, in a castle adorned by a variety of plant life that represents the family in question, with the most standout factor being the monolithic trees at the centre of these castles, called altrees, with their roots weaving in and out of the structure and the city as a whole. This is the one consistent factor between the royal residents in all the gnome kingdoms. On the topic of these royals, they stand apart from the average gnome in many ways, possessing physical features absent in most gnomes, most apparent being the plants they're bonded to. These all being plants that can't be found in nature, such as a rose tree or thorned lavender, these all appearing to be modified via arcane means. This magical modification may even explain the appearance of the royals as a whole. To cement their place as rulers, these families claim to directly control the source of chimeras, with it being publicly accepted that chimeras are grown off the branches of the altrees, with all chimeras being sourced directly from the castle, or in smaller outposts where lesser altrees have been planted. And it seems that these sites are significantly less secure than the primary altrees, as one of my colleagues were able to infiltrate the site and report his findings. From what he says, it seems that a key factor of his infiltration was the fact that he was 1, a gnome, and 2, a mage-born one, as it seems that the residents of these outposts, referred to as a befestigen or brace, consist almost exclusively of mage-born, magisters, and magic users called druids. These appear to be the true operation behind the production of chimeras, with the royal families seemingly being nothing more than a front of sorts. The relationship between the two isn't entirely clear, but if these smaller brace forts are anything to go off, it seems that the royals work to mask some of the more, well, distasteful parts of the chimera creation process, especially when it comes to what they call, quote, material procurement. Thanks to my colleague, we have gotten a relatively in-depth breakdown of the process. He reports the mass importation of local fauna ranging from livestock to wild animals, with rarer creatures having bounties placed on them, spurring on a whole industry in itself. This is where the royals come into play, as the procurement of these animals is framed as a sort of tax. But where the royals are truly needed is in the gathering of, well, gnome bodies. It seems that nothing is off limits in the druids' practice, with royal promoting the idea of burial at the foot of an altree as a cultural norm. This gives these magic users an ample source of bodies to work with, though it is important for some of the bodies to be buried by the altree, as this plays a key role in chimera creation. As after the material is sourced, it is then deconstructed and reassembled to fit its new purposes or just the whims of its creators' personal preferences. And once this body is formed, the altree's purpose is made clear, as at that moment, the chimera is a husk, needing a constant flow of restoration magic to prevent decomposition. But once the husk is exposed to the sap of an altree, it seems to gain, or, well, regain life, but with a sort of blank mind. One that is easily moulded and manipulated by the druids, by use of a plethora of psychedelic plants and other such mind-altering concoctions. Leaving the creature in a docile and suggestible state, they are then given commands via olfactory signals. These signals are given by their handlers, mainly a type of specialized magic user referred to as a mui, shepherd perfumer. These individuals tasked with the control of the chimera bear a somewhat distorted physiology due to their line of work involving constant exposure to magic materials, though they tend to cover up these mutations with a variety of clothing choices, the most striking of which being their decorated masks. Though these masks seem to be a purely aesthetic choice, they also serve as a layer of protection against the gas these soldiers deploy to control the Chimera. Most of the perfumer's job consists of producing these arcane concoctions, with those who are a bit more lax in terms of safety gear seeming to be a bit more, well, unhinged. This most likely being a result of the psychedelic affects of their perfume. These potentially impaired individuals are deployed on the forefront battlefields waging war on behalf of their rulers with their most vicious weapons. Their unhinged appearance paired with the uncanny horror of the Chimera paint an unforgettable image in the minds of any who dare challenge one of the gnome nations, sustaining their current peace. Though with what this report is suggesting, I don't think things will stay as such. Not for long at least. Thanks for watching. I'm also a big fan of money, so if you're interested, I'm open for commissions.